Hello, my name is Smith, and I would like to share with you some of the things I've learned throughout my journey in TD 6350 analysis of teaching in urban schools. I would like to start off by saying that prior to this class, I've had teaching experience. In fact, I'm teaching the class right now. However, many of the topics covered in this class had escalated my teaching abilities to another level. So let me share with you some of the things I learned. Reflective represents the capacity to reflect on one's actions. In teaching, this means doing a self-evaluation as a teacher to become a better teacher. Reflection is an ongoing process in teaching. Reflection can come from reviewing the course of a term, looking back over the course of a week, or even doing a self-evaluation throughout the course of a lesson. Some of the topics in this class that were brought to my attention in a reflective category were reflection of one's inner self, reflection, the needs and expectations of the community, and lastly, observing and reflecting on effective teaching. When reflecting on oneself, one should always consider personal beliefs, values, and even dispositions. It has been said by Wayne Dyer that the state of your life is nothing more than the state of your mind. This means that in order to place where you want to be in life, you must first check where you are in mind. In respects to teaching, in order to be an effective teacher, you must find a place in being understanding, but not place your mind in sympathy. This was explained more in depth in the book, Teaching with Poverty in Mind. In this book, Jensen explains vividly how being poor can affect children's brains, but we should not use this as a means of sympathy. In this class, we also learn how the community can play an important role in the classroom. Understanding the community's demographics, landmarks, and geographic location could all play a role in understanding both students and parents. This was shown in our community observation project, in which we were asked to observe the communities of the schools before we visited them. Another form of reflection is by observing and reflecting on effective teaching, which can take on dual roles. This involves reflection on one's own teaching and reflection on others. Example of this was constantly shown throughout this course, from videos to in-class observations. To innovate means to introduce something new, make changes in anything established. In teaching, this means constantly trying new things to make teaching more effective and learning and retention higher. In one of our lessons, we learned the pyramid of student retention. In it, researchers found that lecturing was at the lowest level of student retention, yet many instructors use it as their primary source for teaching. Why? Lack of innovation. In this class, we talked about 3 ways to make strides in innovation. There are investigating how technology can be used to enhance the learning process, analyzing instructional plans and lesson delivery strategies, and lastly, arranging the classroom for optimal instruction delivery. Investigating how technology can be used to enhance learning is very critical in this day and age. In this era, it is not unlikely that every child in the world has seen and used a computer. Thus, in the classroom, using computers to aid in instruction should not be foreign. In our class, we use technology in many ways. We used it to research while in class, and we even used it in our classroom museum. In fact, I'm actually using a form of technology right now in presenting my final presentation. Another use of innovation that was taught in our class was analyzing instructional plans and lesson delivery strategies. By visiting sites like lessonplansforteachers.com, one will be able to see how lessons were taught at different grade levels. This can also serve as a guide to make learning more exciting for students. Another good site is YouTube. YouTube not only can provide supplemental learning, but it could also be a means of viewing other teachers and their teaching methods. And last but not least, arranging the classroom for optimal instruction delivery. When I learned of this one, at first it surprised me, but as I thought about it, it made a lot of sense. In one of the articles I read, Effective Room Arrangement, it talked about how room arrangement can be used to minimize distractions, increase positive interaction with peers, and decrease the number of interruptions. This is an act of innovation because it steps outside of the normal lesson plans, and teaching. It involves utilizing the environment to help in the learning process. Diversity is about differences. And in education, differences may be race, learning styles, culture, background, etc. In our class, we focused on many topics which expressed a commitment to diversity, some of which were observing and reflecting on various classroom management models to create a classroom culture, observing and reflecting the impact of social issues in the classroom, and lastly, exploring the components of differentiating instruction. Creating a classroom culture is by far one of the leading feats in committing to diversity. A classroom culture tells students what behavior will and will not be acceptable in a classroom. In McKinley's book, Raising Black Students' Achievement Through Culturally Responsive Teaching, he paints a portrait of a classroom climate that is diverse-friendly. Some of the points that he makes is promoting a group-centered, collaborative approach to learning, promote a positive family-like classroom environment, and by counteracting stereotypes by teaching students about universal traits and values. He also states that it is important for teachers to understand the classroom climate should reflect elements of both the community and the school. Another topic which opened my mind to diversity is by observing and reflecting on the impact of social issues in a classroom. One example of this was when we had an exercise where we read a case study on a student that was profusely sleeping in class. The teacher noticed that the student had been doing this for a long period of time and naturally assumed that the student was on drugs. The teacher, although sincere in their efforts, neglected the fact that other issues could have played a role in the student sleeping. Having an open mind to diversity might have led the teacher to do more questioning before coming to a conclusion. Another topic of interest was exploring different components in differentiated instruction. This topic was centered upon understanding the differences in students of what and how they learn. An example of differentiated learning is shown in the book Never Work Harder Than Your Students by Robin Jackson. In chapter 1, Jackson talks of a student that she just couldn't reach. Every day was a battle in class. It wasn't until Jackson had a conversation with a colleague that she learned that the student was actually smart. This led to Jackson changing her approach to teaching that student. So in conclusion, I'm going to read a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the quote says, "As to methods, there may be a million and then some, but principles are few. The man who grasps principles can successfully select his own methods. The man who tries methods ignoring principles is sure to have trouble." This quote relates to my experience in TED 6350 because it's my belief that in this class we were taught the principles of being a teacher. And those principles directly reflect Wayne State's education theme, which is to be a reflective, innovative instructor that is committed to diversity. Thank you for joining with me. I hope to see you soon.